Hello, I'm Angela Johnson and I'm an ambassador for docrafts. We're back in the crafty studio today and I'm working on an autumn scrapbook layout. And what you'll see straight away is I've drawn a circle in the centre of my 12 by 12 cardstock and I've started to layer up lots of different leaf shapes and designs, all of which I've coloured or cut out of different cardstock using different tools, using palm punches, using dies. Some of them I've drawn myself. And what you'll see straight away is the lovely texture and the lovely warmth of colour that's coming from this. The reason that they've got so many lovely warm colours is, though, I'm using some wonderful gelato colours. These are the Faber-Castell Gelatos, and they're a wonderful, rich, creamy, it's between a chalk and a pastel. It's very, very creamy to work with, but they blend beautifully, and I've got some wonderful autumn colours to work with. So let's get crafting. I'll put that to the side for the moment, and I'm going to use two types of cardstock to start with. I'm going to use a piece of vellum, because vellum's lovely, even it sounds like autumn leaves, doesn't it? And then I've got some white cardstock that has a little bit of a texture to it, but you'll see it once I start to use the gelatos. Now I'm going to pick the yellow, this is yellow banana. I'm going to use the red, which is iced currant, and I'm straight away going to take the tops off. You twist them from the bottom and it just brings up the colour that you're going to use, and you literally put some of the colour onto the base of your cardstock. Now it looks really rich in the colour terms, but they blend beautifully. You can blend these with water, you can blend these with your fingers, you can blend these with blending brushes, and you can mix as many colours as you choose. This one is champagne gold. I love this colour. And straight away you can get an idea of how I'm just adding a mixture of the colours together to create my project. Next, I've got, I could use my finger, but for this particular one, I'm going to show you, I use a makeup sponge, and I find a makeup sponge works brilliantly. They're very affordable, and you can buy a pack with about 10 or 20 in there. And straight away, once I start blending these colours together, you'll see how all those lovely, warm autumn colours are beginning to show through. Now, I don't have to be too fussy, because at the end of the day, I'm going to die cut this out, but I could look at that and think, maybe I could add a bit more colour. With gelatos, you can keep layering colour on, and I can add a little bit more just to add a little bit more colour. But once I'm happy with that, this now enables me to take my palm punch, and just by having my palm, straight away, can you see that gloss? It almost has a gloss to the gelatos. It really does give a richness to the projects you're working on. It has a sheen to them that I really love. But once you start using your palm punch to create your leaves, there's the next one, and the next one. And each one has its own personality because of the different ways that I've coloured it in and blended it, and I've still got the definition of the leaf beautifully. But I can take that again, and I can do a couple of techniques now using the vellum. So again, let's take a few colours. A bit of yellow. Yellow seems to be a really good base for them. The red has to go in for the autumn. And perhaps this time we'll add a little bit of the brown onto the edges. And we've got a very interesting one. This is almost like a cream, but this is called caramel. So we just add that in, and it adds a softness to that brown. And then this time I'm going to use my finger. So again, going around, if I just put this on top of the white so that you can see it clearly, going around with my finger, wow, look how those colours blend. They blend beautifully. And you could do this technique, obviously, for backgrounds. You could theme it with one colour, two colours, completely change the way a project looks when you add texture like vellum to a project. So you can see how all those lovely colours on the vellum give us that autumn look. And I can start to cut them out with my palm punch. So I put my palm punch just through again. You can really see how the vellum really does look true autumn leaves. So I'm just going to punch out a couple more of these. Just is totally an autumn leaf in my opinion. The next thing I can do is just take the same palm punch and let's cut out a couple of white ones. So without any colour, but this time take the gelato, or you could still take the actual applicator with the colour that might still be on there and just go round the edges so that now I'm just adding the colour, but this time just to the edges. I could take the gelato straight to the edges as well if I wanted to go more intense with the colour, and then rub that colour off. And again, that gives me a lovely textured effect, but more interesting, especially if I want to get 3 different looks in my project. This is now giving me one more aspect. I can put some gelato straight onto my cardstock, or you can put it onto a blending mat and again add variance to the individual leaves. All of these techniques would work with the die as well. Plus, I have a mini palm punch. Now I want to have some flowers for another project that I'm working on as to go in the centre of the scrapbook. So no part of this cardstock is going to be wasted. So taking the flower palm punch as I go along, I can use all the extra bits along the sides. So don't ever throw away any of these extras, because I've still got little flowers in those same matching autumn colours. Now I have cut out a lot of these leaves, but we'll start with the ones that we've just made. And we're just going to add some glue. And it really is simple, but because you've got all that colour, that colour is now permanently on there. And as I said, with the gelatos, you can use water and use them as the watercolour, but just adding some glue to the back, I can now build up additional areas on my scrapbook page, keeping this lovely autumn theme. And just add a couple more onto the sides, and you can clearly see how we can layer up these leaves. And then when you add the vellum ones to the edges, it really adds that delicate but really lovely finish. Just like, I love these vellum leaves. They just look very, very different. So the last part is to put in the centre focal point and put in a sentiment. Now for the centre, I've got a lovely photograph of a friend's mum out for a run. And that is going out for an adventure. So I've cut out the photograph in a circle. I've put some foam pads on the back so that that will raise this up off the centre of my project. And put that in the middle. Make sure it's around the right way. And so now you can see how the leaves work in with that lovely picture. The next thing I've done is I've cut out a frame just with a tiny white frame on the inside and mounted it onto a piece of acetate, because what I thought would be nice would be to add in some of those lovely palm punch flowers to create some shaker images of just add some texture, some colour, and brings in that lovely autumn theme to our finished project. In order to stick the frame on, again, I'm going to go back to my glue stick and I'm just going to put a little bit of glue only around the edge where that white frame is. So go around the edge just of the frame so that the glue won't show when I stick it to the project. Then I'm going to lift up my frame and encapsulate all those lovely flowers and protect that image as the centerpiece of my project. But I said this was an adventure. So using the X-Cut lettering system, this is the X-Cut set of dies, the wedding dies, alphabet dies, I've cut out the word adventure. And what I've done is I've cut it out in white cardstock first, and then I've layered up the dark red on top, just to give a drop shadow effect. And there are my stick it foam dots, which really do help when I want to raise something up off a project. And I've worked out where I'm going to position them, and I worked out that the A should go here. So always have a practice around first to work out exactly how to position your letters. But I'm going to put the D and the E. Wow, I'm really pleased with the overall finished effect of my autumn scrapbook page, and I think you would agree that all those lovely textures achieved with the different shapes of the leaves, and of course using those wonderful Faber-Castell Gelatos. I hope you've enjoyed crafting with me, and I look forward to seeing you again next time. Bye bye.